I think Eric Adams offended the wrong group of people. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today I bring you an update on the controversy surrounding New York City Mayor Eric Adams. I did a video about this a few days ago concerning his top fundraiser, a young lady by the name of Brianna Suggs, because the federales raided her home due to some allegations of improper campaign funding from the government of Turkey or some guys over there. It was really complicated, really weird. Now, I was confused. I'm like, okay, if the issue is about Eric Adams getting some improper campaign funding, then why would they go to her house first? Why would they not approach him? Why would they not raid him first? Maybe they're trying to intimidate him. Maybe they're trying to say, hey, we know about your little girlfriend, allegedly. I'm not saying they said that. I'm saying I think that could be going on, but that's a different story, and I digress. Now we have an update. The federales have taken Eric Adams' iPhone and iPad as part of the investigation. Now, Eric, if you can hear me right now, what did you do? Who did you offend? Who woke up on the wrong side of the bed, put their shoes on backwards and said, you know what, let's go ahead and harass Eric Adams? Because let's be clear, a lot of this campaign finance stuff, it happens all throughout politics on a local level, national level, and there's not all this commotion behind it. I think there is a bigger picture that we're not really aware of right now that I'll get into a little bit later. But first things first, let's watch the news clip. If you want to see the clip in full, link as always will be in the description. If you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
It was on Monday the FBI approached the mayor and asked for his electronic devices. Two sources familiar with the matter say the mayor turned over 2 cell phones and an iPad, and later turned over additional electronic devices. The mayor issued a statement saying he's done nothing wrong. As a former member of law enforcement, I expect all members of my staff to follow the law and fully cooperate with any sort of investigation, and I will continue to do exactly that. I have nothing to hide. The search warrant for the mayor's phones comes after the FBI searched the Crown Heights home of top campaign fundraiser Brianna Suggs. Investigators, in part, looking into possible campaign donations tied to a construction firm, KSK, and its ties to Turkey. A source familiar with the matter says late last week it was the mayor and his lawyers who turned over information about additional wrongdoing separate and apart from the campaign finance investigation.
Now let's pause for a minute. Okay, so you see the general issue here. It's some improper campaign funding allegations from Turkey and a construction company, and maybe it involves the top campaign fundraiser, Brianna Suggs, a 24, 25-year-old young lady. Listen, these kind of things happen in government all the time. We know about Ilhan Omar. Before we get more into this video here, Ilhan Omar was allegedly married to her brother, so he able to get U.S. citizenship. Because remember, Ilhan Omar comes from, I believe, Somalia, and she was an actual refugee, and her family got split up. Some went to UK, some came to U.S., and her brother in UK allegedly came over here because they got married. Allegedly, that's the allegation. Then she was married to her actual husband religiously, but not legally. But she left him to get with the white man by the name of Tim Minette, who was her top campaign consultant. At one point, the allegation is that he was getting 70% of her campaign money, 70%. And you know the way politics work, you can't just take your campaign money and spend it on yourself. You got to spend it on campaign expenses. So the loophole is, okay, let me give this consultant 70% of my money from the campaign. We get married. Now that goes into my pocket. That kind of thing happens all over the place, and nobody says anything. Even if not illegal, it is most certainly, in my opinion, unethical, but nobody cares. But Eric Adams is getting investigated by the federales and might get removed from office because of this. What's the reason? We'll talk about that in a minute.
One of the mayor's lawyers says it was discovered that an individual had recently acted improperly. In the spirit of transparency and cooperation, This behavior was immediately and proactively reported to investigators. Officials not saying what the additional wrongdoing might be, but they say it is separate from the questions of whether foreign money from Turkey was improperly donated to the mayor's election campaign. Officials familiar with the matter say the FBI was perhaps going to seek the mayor's phone Sunday during his appearance at the marathon, but the search executed on Monday as he was with his security detail near NYU as he was about to enter his SUV. Earlier this week, the mayor was asked about the criminal investigation.
I would be shocked if someone states that our campaign coordinated in illegal behavior.
No criminal charges have been filed by the feds as this investigation is ongoing. Spokesman for the FBI and Justice Department declined to comment.
So there we have it. That's what's going on with the whole Eric Adams kerfuffle. Let me come back to give my thoughts about this in a little bit more detail. One thing that I didn't mention in my previous video about this is Eric Adams being very outspoken about the migrant crisis. He's been very, very outspoken, and he does not like what's happening at the southern border. He's kind of weird. Him and the governor, Kathy Hochul, a lot of them, they're weird. They'll talk about wanting these liberal policies, but the results of the policies they don't want. So Eric Adams has been complaining about all the illegal aliens coming into, well, asylum seekers, 110,000 of them and counting, coming to the city. They don't have anywhere to put them. It's costing billions of dollars. They can't afford it. They're having to cut resources for people that live there, literally cut resources by 5-10% across the board to pay for all this that's going on. You got veterans on the street in New York, cold, homeless, but the migrants get nice little fancy, what they call it, accommodations, the hotel, brand new places that are built. They get all kind of fancy amenities at the taxpayer expense. He's saying, what are we doing? What's going on? We shouldn't be having this. He's going on TV complaining about it, talking to the federal government saying, hey, man, can I get some more money? And as a matter of fact, this story broke when they raided Breonna Suggs' house. That story broke when he was on the way to the White House to speak to Biden about the migrant crisis. So, of course, when that happens, rather than going to speak to Biden, he goes right back to New York City. So maybe that was done on purpose to stop that whole thing from happening, to stop the photo op, to stop Eric Adams from speaking about the migrant crisis with Joe Biden. Maybe that's the reason. So then there might be some kind of backdoor deal. And this is just me just making an assumption, giving my opinion. There might be a backdoor deal. You're like, you know what? We could actually prosecute you here because there's something there. And I think they have this on a lot of politicians. They'll kind of set you up. They might even put the Turks right in your face and say, hey, they'll give you some money for your campaign. No problem. Write a big check. We can make Breonna Suggs the top fundraiser ever in New York City. We can do that. But then what they do on the back end is, okay, you want to talk crazy about the migrant crisis? You want to embarrass our president, Joe Biden, this 1,000-year-old man? You want to embarrass him more than what he embarrasses himself? Okay, check it out. We're going to set the federales on you. And if you want them to back you off, if you don't want to go to the penitentiary, big rocks, little rocks, what you're going to do is stop talking about the migrant crisis. Let all the migrants come into your city. If you got to cut expenses in the city by 25%, then do it. Don't say a word and let your city become flooded with migrants. That might go on. So I think, in my humble opinion, if we see him continue to talk about the migrant crisis, he'll continue to go down this path. We might see him talk less about this now that it's happening. I'm curious to see how that whole thing is going to play out, because as I close, I'm going to say this. As I've been saying throughout the video, a lot of politicians could be right here where he is. They could be facing the same kind of allegations. A lot of them, all over the place. Local, national, everything. But if you stay in the pocket and don't rock the boat, maybe things will be okay. Maybe the whole 10 for the big guy type deal won't really be a problem as long as you do what you're told. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on Eric Adams and this whole thing that's happening with the federales, taking his phones and his iPad and then raiding the fundraiser's house? You think it's an intimidation thing because of the migrant crisis questions? You think it's a legitimate investigation? What's the reason for this when there are other people who may have the same thing going on who don't get any kind of questioning? Ilhan Omar, Maxine Waters, Joe Biden. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think it's an intimidation thing. 100%. I think that's the reason. And if the migrant crisis questions, comments, concerns goes away, then this whole investigation might also go away. But I guess only time will tell. And whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.